Hey there, Southern. Welcome to another episode of Film Guy Reviews. I'm your film guy, Matthew St. Clair, and for today's episode, since 2014 has come to a close, I figured that I'd acknowledge 10 films that didn't get much buzz in terms of audience and awards recognition. Here is my list of the top 10 most underrated films of 2014. Here we go. Now, our first film on our list is the Australian horror film known as The Babadook. While I am a huge fan of the horror genre, I feel that The Babadook has restored my faith in the genre, as writer-director Jennifer Kent has managed to take the film's monster movie concept and mold it into a character study about grief and mental illness. This is only her first feature film, and yet I would already consider her a master of the genre. Our next film on our list is the micro-budget indie known as Blue Ruin. Now, Blue Ruin is a film that proves you can have masterclass filmmaking even if you have almost no money at all, because it was mostly funded through a Kickstarter campaign. And it is still a masterful vengeance thriller that works as a black comedy and also has a chilling atmosphere surrounding it. While watching Blue Ruin, I was getting the sense that with writer, director, and cinematographer Jeremy Saulnier, we might have a successful heir to the Coen brothers. And my next film is The Drop, starring Tom Hardy and the late James Gandolfini. Now, even though The Drop is a masterful thriller, its suspense and tension works through its subtlety. So even though it's edge of your seat, it's not edge of your seat in an in-your-face kind of way. And it also features such richly complex performances by Tom Hardy and James Gandolfini. And it also deals with such powerful themes as sin, redemption, and past demons. It's one not to be missed. Our next film is the only foreign film on this list, called Force Majeure, which is a Swedish black comedy that deals with what happens after a man abandons his family during a controlled avalanche. And Force Majeure, it does what I think true cinema is supposed to do, as it has the audience asking questions. Because when you're watching it, you're wondering to yourself, what would I do, or what would I have done, what would you have done, and I love that. If you love reading subtitles, I would put this high on your watch list. Our next film is the only documentary on this list, called Life Itself, which is about the late famed movie critic Roger Ebert. Now, the reason Life Itself really struck a chord with me is not just because Roger Ebert is one of my biggest inspirations as a film critic, but the film shows us that even when he was battling cancer, he still kept writing and reviewing, and I was very inspired by that. And hopefully any aspiring writer or film critic feels the same way when they watch this. And even if you hate documentaries, I think you might enjoy this one. Our next film is the second film with Tom Hardy, called Locke, which is literally 90 minutes of Tom Hardy driving on the British highway, and yet you're still hooked from start to finish. And it mostly works thanks to the masterclass one-man show by Tom Hardy, who, if I had a ballot, would have made my Best Actor category at the Oscars. He was just that impressive. The whole movie is just impressive. Everything about it is done precisely, but Tom Hardy's performance is just something that should be studied. Our next film is Obvious Child, and it actually kind of saddens me that such a unique and honest romantic comedy like this slipped through the cracks. Because the romantic comedy genre, I think, has become a caricature of itself, and yet this one still manages to work thanks to the efforts of co-writer, director Gillian Robespierre, and the winning star turned by Jenny Slate. Even if you hate romantic comedies as much as I do, you might enjoy this. Our next film is perhaps the most underrated comedians going serious film of the year called The Skeleton Twins, starring Bill Hader and Kirsten Wiig. Because even though the film does provide some laughs, thanks to the comedic efforts of Hader and Wiig, it still deals with such dark subject matter. But I think this still should be seen because anyone who has a sibling or siblings that watches this might grow to appreciate their siblings more after it's over. And of course the film also works thanks to the brilliant chemistry by Bill Hader and Kirsten Wiig. And next on our list is perhaps one of the more underrated action or sci-fi films of the year called Snowpiercer, which may be another dystopian sci-fi thriller, yet it is done much differently because it depicts the last survivors of a global warming all put together on one always moving train that is divided by a class system. And the film is about a group of rebels sitting in the tail section, the lower class, slowly making their way up to the front. And the production design is absolutely wonderful as each car represents the different classes, and of course the action leaves your heart pumping, and even the performances are fantastic and spot on. And that's quite rare for a sci-fi film these days, since the focus is mainly on the action and the effects. But even though this film did find its audience, if you guys watch it, you guys will help it grow larger than it already has. Now, our last film on our list is what I consider to be the most underrated film of 2014, and that is a prison drama called Startup. Now, Startup is a drama about a complex and difficult father-son relationship, yet it also still shows the difficulties of prison life. And I think everything about this film was done with such amazing precision, as the direction never cuts away from the horrors of prison life. The screenwriting shows that a simple, harmless therapy session can turn into a verbal dogfight in the blink of an eye. And the two lead performances by Jack O'Connell as the main character and Ben Mendelsohn as his father are both amazing. And I think this film made only $50,000, and that was quite upsetting because I think this one was just a real work of art that sadly has slipped through the cracks. But yeah, it should. I think this one should be widely seen. That this was a real gem. So that was my list of the top 10 most underrated films of 2014. And if you want to check out my full review of each film alongside anything else related to film, you should check out my website, www.filmguyreviews.blogspot.com. Now, this is Matt Sinclair of Film Guy Reviews signing off. Stay classy.